Okay. So on exercises 11 through 14, let me see where that is. Let me find this here. See what your exercises should look like. Let's see right here.
Is it the one? It's the one in the book, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, the learning web design in the book. Yeah, I should have the answers. Okay, 11, like for instance, if you were looking at 11, finished exercises. Okay, so you should have a, like for chapter 11, you should have a file called cooking exercise 11-2 and cooking exercise 1-3 and then a JPEG image. So what the easiest thing I think would be to do would be to say exercises, and then you may want subfolders for each chapter. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so yeah, so like if you had one that said whatever your initials are, SR exercises, and then inside there you'd have one folder called chapter 11 and it would have these 3 files in it. And then for chapter 12, you would have these in there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so then the one that says SR exercises, you would just zip it. And so it would include all of the subfolders.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's probably the best way. So it'll have 11, 12, 13, 14, and 20. So I had you skip to 20. Now, why is 20 isn't listed there? Is there not any exercises in 20? Let me see. I better open that book and make sure. Because 20, the reason it was important is it's a technique that you need to have whenever you start working on a website. Let's see. Let me see where that is again. If it's, there it is. Okay, 20. Go down. Okay, that's 4, 5. Get rid of some of those that are open. Oh, close part 2, part 3. Okay, so in chapter 20, and we haven't, I know you're not to there yet, but I want to make sure that this has something for you to do. Oh, I remember what this part is. The reason I want you to do this is this gives you different ways to create CSS, like different tools to use. And so that's what this whole part, it may, let me see if it even has a test yourself.
Okay.
Let me see, SAS, this may just be an overview so that you know at different jobs they use different things. Fixie, GitHub, pre-CSS. I've forgotten what building sites with data and templates. See, GitHub, this talks about GitHub, and that's why I wanted this, because I had several people on our advisory committee that hire students that wanted them to always be familiar with GitHub. But I don't see so far a test yourself. Let me see. No, there's conclusion. Oh yeah, there it is, only it's not actually code. It's actually asking questions about that chapter. What is a pull request? So it's actually going to be a document. Okay. So chapter 20 is going to see if you understand what you read. So what I really wanted to make sure right now is that everybody understood that if you're working through this and understanding the CSS, and then I only have you do 2 chapters in JavaScript, but let's see, 4 weeks which maybe next week is the beginning. Let me look at the calendar again before we're finished. Okay, next week will be the 13th, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Then finals week.
I think we only have 4 weeks left.
Yeah, after starting next week, right? 1,
Yeah.
2, 3. Okay, so next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I need to do another Zoom, or I need to find out why students aren't attending. I assume since it was the time of our original class, it'd be a good time, but we'll go in and really talk about the final project, you know,
Okay.
where you said you're going to work on that one site. So I'm going to try to type something up and get it out there in Canvas before that. So then if there's any questions about what I covered on the video, because you were the only one that said that you wanted to work on that one, but others may have just not even thought about it yet. So I'm going to be sure and put this out here and some written instructions about the final, because that really tells me that final project, since I haven't given any written test, that's going to tell me if you can apply what you learned with HTML and CSS to actually build something.
Okay.
Or modify that one that and you won't be able to finish the entire site, but you can at least give the overview and do the home page. And I may have you do a couple of other pages of it, but you won't probably, like if you can get the overall scheme of the site and how you would set it up using the don't make me have to think design principles that we learned at the beginning, and then do the HTML and CSS at least for the home page. Okay. And so that will be what I'll have others do too, is they'll have to, because in 4 weeks, normally I have everybody start working on a website by midterm. And because of all this that's happened, we haven't had near as long. So that's why I'm not going to require that you finish everything. But I want to see if you can use some of those design principles and the HTML and the CSS to at least get a style going, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So do you have any other questions?
Oh, and make sure I'm doing this right. I'm using Dreamweaver, so I make my job easier, so I don't have to type everything out. But
Okay.
when I do CSS, I use the CSS option, right?
Let's see. Okay, in Dreamweaver, let me pull my Dreamweaver up and I'll show you. Where is?
I just want to make sure I'm doing it
Sure.
right. Not on the.
What does it have you using inside that book? Does it have you using just straight a text editor? Let me look.
They want me to usually use a text editor, yes. Any type of text editor, really.
Okay, so you're using Dreamweaver as a text editor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see, like for instance, you probably finished chapter 11. How far are you?
I'm on 12 right now.
Okay, so let's go.
It won't be longer than a day to get 11 through 14 though.
Okay, let's see how 12 goes. Okay, so 12 is talking about formatting text. So you remember when we talked about HTML, we talked about that used to, you did the formatting with HTML, but in new design code, we don't want to format, give any kind of font properties except for in CSS. So that's what this chapter is about. And it's talking about using different properties for different styles, like for headers, you want a certain font, and maybe for paragraphs, you want a certain font. And that's what it's showing you here, how to define those in a style sheet. So let's see. So if you're doing it, let me see here. So formatting a menu. So it says in this exercise, we'll change the fonts. Blog menu, which is available at learning website. Okay, so you get that menu, then open the document in a text editor. Okay, so let's say in Dreamweaver, okay, you're going to open that document. Let me see. That is in, okay, this is chapter 12. So you're going to open this document, menu.html. So when we open it up, if we wanted to get the straight code, okay, so this is just an HTML document. And so what you want to do is create a CSS, right? Is it telling you to create a document, or let me go to where the book is?
Yeah, they want me to create, they want me to they want a CSS document, yes. Because.
Okay, so let's see what it says here. Let me get it a little, let me enlarge it a little bit so I can see it there. Okay, so use an embedded style sheet. Okay, so this is not going to have you create a separate style sheet, because remember, embedded means that it's going to be inside the HTML. Okay, so if you look at what the instructions tell you right there, oops, it says right underneath the head, you're going to put a style tag. So we're going to go over here underneath the head, underneath the title. First thing we're going to do is we're going to type in a style tag. Style, and when you do that, you also come down. It already created the, Dreamweaver creates the cancel style for you. Okay, so there is what it has us do first. I would like the main text to appear in Verdana or some other sans serif font, instead of writing a rule for every element in the document. So we will write one rule for the body element that will be inherited by all the elements it contains. Add this rule to the embedded style. So inside the style, and it's embedded. So what does embedded mean versus an external linked CSS? What's the difference?
Embedded means it's within the site, within the site itself, or within the style.
So that means it will only affect that one document, right?
Yes.
Whereas if you have an external style sheet, then you can link it to every page on the site if you want to. Does that make sense? You understand? I'm not sure what chapter 11 talked about, but there's three kinds of styles. There's inline, embedded, and external. And once you learn how to embed styles and see how they affect that one page, then you decide, okay, now I want that style to be throughout my site. So I'm going to copy it into an external style sheet. And you take those embedded ones out. Okay, but right now we're just learning to see what the embedded style does, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to put exactly what it says in there. So we're going to put a body. So this means this style rule is only going to affect a body tag, right?
Yes.
So it won't affect anything else in the style, but the body tag is the entire document, basically, right? So it's saying, as a default, I want to be sure that all my body font is Verdana. So I'm going to put body, and then I'm going to put font. Oops, I'm coding there for some reason. Curly brace. Oops, not that. A curly brace. And then I'm going to put font family, which is one of the properties that I can define, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put exactly what they have, font family, colon, and then Verdana. And see, it actually in Dreamweaver brings it up for you, so you don't have to type it in if you didn't want to. Verdana, comma, and then what it told me was if that computer doesn't have Verdana, then pick a sans serif. That's how this rule is stated. You want it to use Verdana, but if for some reason that particular computer didn't have Verdana loaded, then it will use another sans serif font.
Okay.
All right, that's what that rule means. So then on part 3, it says I want a fancy font for the Black Goose Bistro summer menu headline. So I chose a free display font called Marco 1 from Google Web Fonts. So Google gave me the code for linking the font file on their server to my HTML file. It's actually a link to an external style sheet. So here we're going to actually link to an external style sheet. We had somebody else come in. Who came in? I'm not sure. I can't see anybody else. Okay, so is that who came in?
I don't see anybody.
Who is it? I
don't see anybody.
Oh, I don't either. Let's see if I can, that's because I'm sharing screen.
There's somebody in here, but.
Yeah, somebody else, it says somebody else is in here, but it's not showing who it is it? And they're not talking. Okay, well, if you want me to, let's see, let me go back here and put chat up. So if somebody doesn't have a, well, it's because I'm sharing screen. Well, I'm going to finish this, and if somebody's in there that has a question, you have to speak up. Okay, so this portion is going to link to an external style sheet. So even though we didn't create this external style, there's one out there in Google that we can use if we know the link to it. And so whatever's in this style sheet, it's going to affect certain fonts. Let's see which one it says. So it says to copy exactly, okay, the font file on the server to my HTML file can be placed in the head of the document. So copy it exactly as it appears, but keep it on one line. Put it after the title and before the style element. Okay, whenever you're going to link to an external style sheet, you have to put it not inside the style, but you have to link just like you would to like a JavaScript file that you were using. It has to be the actual file. So on this one, it says to put it exactly like it is. Link href means hypertext reference is equal to, and we found this http:// so it's going to go externally out to the web and find this file so that it can use a rule that's in it. Google, and this might be ahead of, you'll have to go back and read chapter 12 because it may explain this better than what I'm telling you right now. So then it says to put it all on one line. So then I put CSS question mark, family equals, my eyes are so bad right now with this, mark O plus 1. That's the name of the font out of the Google file that they're wanting to use. And then after that, it has, and then it's telling your document that this file is a style sheet. That's why it says REL stands for relationship. So it says this type of file is a style sheet.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get that. And now it should go there. Okay, and then it has didn't show that link, the end of the link, but it is an end of a link because it's a link href. But it's not supposed to do that, I don't think. I don't know why it did that. Okay, so it's an HTTP. Wait, why does it have only one? I miss a mark. Oh, I see what I did. I missed the opening quote there. It has to have both around the style sheet. Okay, so now we have to add the actual rule in the body that we want to pull from that style sheet. So, and we want it to be included as part of the style. So that's what the next part is we're going to write a style for an H1. So we're saying make everything Verdana unless it's an H1. And if it's an H1, I want the font family to be Marco 1. And if you don't put that link, it won't find this font and it'll give you an error. 1 there, and then comma. And then it says if it can't find that, use Georgia is the type of font. And if it doesn't have that, then use any type of serif font, which means one with tails, right? You remember that? Oh, there's somebody else coming in. I don't know. Okay, so who else is in here? Let me see. Where's my Zoom? Let me see if I can find out. I guess I can stop share just a second. Let me see if I can see.
I don't want to put impact.
Oh, I see. I have to admit. There's Lainey.
Gothic folder, black sans serif.
Okay, there's 2 participants now. There's Lainey. Okay. And there was one other one I thought, but I don't see them now. It's making me admit I've never had to do that before. Usually you can just sign in. Okay, Lainey, what I'm doing is we're going over chapter 12, just the test yourself. And so you can go back and, because I am recording it. Okay. Oh, where did she go?
There you go.
Oh,
Now
now
I can hear you.
now I can see you. Or actually, I hear you, but I don't see you.
Oh, here you go.
Oh, there you are. Okay. Yeah, I told him I don't. Okay. So I'm going to go back and share screen so you can see what we're doing here. And also I want it'll be recorded. So we're using actually Dreamweaver to build test yourself for chapter 12. Because what you should be working on is chapters 11 through 14. And by next Monday, you have to have 11 through 14 and 20 done. Okay. So we're looking at this one. And
Are we
with
skipping?
that, what?
8?
What's that?
Are we skipping, like you said, 12 through 13 and
Yeah,
14?
we're going to skip the 15 through 19 because we're running out of time. That doesn't mean that those aren't important, that they'll help you when you really, if you get a job building websites, but we're going to skip those because we don't have time to actually apply. You know, if you watch that video that I did right after spring break, I told y'all how we're going to do all the CSS and then we're going to work on a website. And that's what the final project that really shows me whether you grasp what you learned or not, because you're just going through, right? Okay, so let's go.
Does the serif after Georgia need a beginning?
Does what?
Does the serif after Georgia need a beginning quotation or just the end?
No, the only reason that should say Marco, not Marco 1. The only reason that does is because it's coming from another, where'd it go? Okay, because it's oh, it says actually, yeah, Marco 1, because it's coming out of that other file, but Georgia is actually a standard font, so you don't have to put it in quotes. But this Marco 1 font is coming out of this external style sheet.
Okay.
So that's why you have to put the quotes. And they're telling you, so you didn't have to know how to do that. So then save the document and reload the page in the browser. It should look like figure 12 -3. Note that you'll need to have an internet connection. Okay, so we're gonna save this. Let me see, let me move this over. So we're gonna save it here, file, save as, and since this one is gonna be yours, then you would put menu, I'll put DW because it's fine. Oops, DQ, DW. And so I'm gonna put it in here. And of course, if you're going along and you have some problems, that's the thing with this online, since we've had to go to straight online, you really should do what's in the chapter first. And then if you can't figure it out, then you can look at the finished exercises and see if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, then you need to let me know that you're not understanding it. Okay, but you should be able to read the chapter, then go through and do the test yourself. So now if we go to live here, okay, let's see if it looks like, let me go up here so my view is on to enable scrolling. Okay, so this one that was in our book shows us that it should look like this. Now, it looks like to me that this black is not the same font. I think it's using, does it look the same to you?
No, it just looks like a regular reserve font.
No, that H1 font. Okay, so let's go back to the split code here. So this up here is the only H1, and it should be using that other font, Marco 1, and it looks like it's still Verdana, right?
Yeah.
I think it's because you don't have the font saved.
Where are you talking about? Right here? See, it's supposed to link to this. I'm going to go to this site and let's see if I can find it. Oh, it didn't let me copy it. Okay. So, yeah, copy. Okay, so I'm going to go out and see where that is because it's linking, supposed to be linking here. Font face, Marco 1, font family. So it is out there at that spot. See the font called Marco 1, and you see this is a CSS. You see that it's a CSS sheet from Google, and it's saying use this. So why is it not at font face, font family Marco 1? So it should be picking up this. Let me see. I must have coded something wrong in Dreamweaver. Let me see here. Maybe this does need, okay, it found. That link looks right. Okay, I want to make it all code so I can make sure that goes out. Font family, Marco 1. So it's picking probably Georgia
Mm-hmm.
because it's not finding Marco 1.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Should
weird.
be, yeah, it should be finding it. Okay, let me see in the book when, oops, why did that do that? skipped past my. Okay, let's see here. Let's look at in 12, advanced. Okay, so where in chapter 12 does it talk about this? It's linking to, because that should be testing something that it told us in chapter 12. Oh, 12-1, advanced. Changing. Oh, I know what else I can look at. Let me look at the finished exercises and see. Chapter 12. Right. So it should be, now see it took it. So where is, okay, let me look at the, okay, let me open this one with Dreamweaver. Let me go here and say file, open, and let me open the finished one and see why the finished one is right. Well, I don't see a thing different. Do you?
Back to yours.
What's that? Oh,
Can
I'm
you-
still on mine. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh, no, here. No, it's not. Okay.
Well, I mean, go back to yours. Let me see.
Okay. To see if you can see something. Let me go code.
I don't.
Oh, that's not mine. Here's mine.
Okay, go back. I wish you could show them side by side. That'd be
Yeah,
really
I should. Let me see if I can. Let me.
Do you have the font size 100%?
No, I
Pull,
don't. But that I didn't put
pull
that
the,
in.
pull the tab. Yeah, pull that tab down.
Down.
Yeah. Hold it down and pull it down.
There it is. Now I can see both.
And you can see them side by side because you.
Yeah. Okay.
But
So
just
where's
hold
that
down
other
so
one
you see it,
at?
and you
You
can
just
side
put
by
it
side,
behind it.
There
yeah. There
it
you
is.
go.
Okay. So the only thing that we see, oh, that's over on my second screen. Just a minute.
Oh.
There it is. Okay. So, oh, keeps popping over to my second
Font
screen.
size 100%.
Do what?
The font size 100%, but
Okay. Well, I'll put that in and see if it makes any difference. But does my
That's the only difference that I see.
yeah. Okay. So let me go ahead here and actually. Okay, this one is mine. So if I say, and then I do, font size, font size, yeah, it actually looks better when it's like this, but oh wait, I didn't put, I see, look, I didn't put a
Yeah, you didn't put a semicolon.
semicolon there. That's probably what it is.
that's what it. That's I think is what's wrong with it.
And
Yeah.
then you have that the parenthesis looking thing there too. That's not supposed to be
Yeah,
there.
you can actually put it here, but
Uh.
it's usually you'll see them put it down below because then you can keep adding properties in there.
There we go.
And
It made
and you
my,
have quotation marks around sheriff. You don't need that there. See? You have a quotation mark near.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so if I say now, let me see if it'll let me put it back up here.
But it made my black goose, the title
Mhm.
shrink.
It made it shrink.
It did what it was
Let's see.
supposed to, but it made it shrink.
Let me see here. Okay, so if I go to split, yeah. Why did yours shrink? Mine didn't.
I don't know.
See, because now it's correct. So all I did was leave off probably the thing that ruined it was that semicolon and the quotation mark there. That's probably what was the problem.
Yeah. Your internet.
So that's why if you go through and you do exactly, you can go and look at the finished and see if it's right. But so this is chapter 12, the very first. Is there more than one test yourself in there? I bet there is, because that just said 12. Yeah, I think there's 5 or something like that. So what we talked about, like he was asking, could he submit them all at once? So if you look at, okay, we're going to go back to Canvas. Okay, so this says complete these chapter exercises. So what I told him to do is to create a folder with your initials exercises, and then inside that create subfolders for chapter 11, 12, 13, 14, and 20. But we looked at 20. 20 actually doesn't have HTML. You'll answer questions about chapter 20 in a Word document, and that's what you'll submit for chapter 20. But then you can just, after you get finished with each one of those, you'll just zip your folder with all those subfolders in it. And so then you only have to upload one file here. Okay?
Okay.
Okay,
Question.
Lane, what'd you say?
Are you wanting us to do the test yourself or the exercises?
Just the test yourself. But what I was saying, so you can name it whatever. Like I was just saying, up here, this one's named, like, instead of saying finished exercises, say LM exercises or LM test yourself, whatever makes sense to you. Just so your folder has your initials on it.
What I'm asking, are you asking for like the little tests at the end of each chapter, or are
Yeah.
you talking about the
Yeah,
exercise?
see, that's why it says test yourself. But
Okay.
there's more than one in some of the chapters. Like chapter 12 actually has, because if you look, it has, I think it has 6 parts.
But you're looking at the exercises, not the actual test yourself.
No, that's the, oh, okay. But I think that was the test yourself. It's called exercises, but it's the test yourself.
Because
In fact,
there's the test yourselves, what are the little individual tests after each chapter,
No, there's a test
and then there's
yourself
the
at very end, too.
exercises that you
yeah,
do.
every test yourself you do, like this one, it says exercise. Oh, I see what you're saying. There's a test yourself at the very end. Okay, let me look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all I
very
told.
end is
Okay, so what I was doing was not one that you're, yeah, you
Those.
have to test yourself. That's why you were asking Shy if it could be all in one document. And since this is just asking questions, then what does it say here? This is part of the test yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so use the diagram shown, write style rules. Okay, so you're going to write style rules. If it's style rules, it may be easier to do in a file, but you are correct, Lainey. I see what you're saying. The reason I didn't require you do all those exercises because you have the finished exercises anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important that you go through those so that you understand, just like what we just found.
But you're not having us turn in the,
Right, that's correct.
the test yourself.
That's correct. I'm sorry, I confused the issue. Yes, it should
You
not
worded
be
it with the exercises test yourself, or like, is she wanting both, or is she
Yeah.
wanting?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Follow what because actually what I assigned to you there says test yourself 11 through 14. So what I was doing was just kind of explaining some things. You'll see at the front of it, I talk a little bit about CSS. So all of them are like 20 is a Word document, the test yourself. So that's what all of them will be.
Okay.
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 All right. Well, hopefully that helps y'all. And what I told, I think before you came in, Lainey, is that we will meet next Tuesday, because that's where you really start on your final project, even though you're still finishing some CSS. I want you to start looking. So I'm going to write up the final project, and I'll put an announcement or an email and say that, you know, I'm adding it in Canvas. Okay. It's not out there yet.
Are we, so this is gonna sound like a really stupid question, but are we allowed to use the web building websites? Because I still have some issues with the I still have some issues with building like the coding part of it, or do we need to do the
No,
whole
I
coding?
need to see if you learned the code. So you can use Dreamweaver. What other web building sites are you talking about? I let you use Dreamweaver.
Right, Dreamweaver. I was thinking of maybe like the the I don't know which one it's called. Never mind. I'll just use
Like, you can't use like a pre-made template, because I
right.
want you to see if you can code I think it'll make more sense as you go into the CSS. But if there's some specific problems with the HTML you're having, then we need to, you know, have a Zoom and talk about it, because there's probably others having that problem too.
Okay.
Okay, so that if there's a time that you want to have a Zoom where we use some things that you don't understand, even though you can see the finished exercise, you don't know how it's working,
Mhm.
let me know and we'll set up another Zoom.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I'll probably ask for a Zoom when I'm working on my
Project.
final project. Yeah.
Okay.
On it.
All right. So next Tuesday we'll talk more, because I will have it typed out what I expect you to do for the final project. Because like I was telling earlier, since I haven't given any written test, that's what's going to really tell me whether you learned is, can you apply it to creating a good design from the principles you learned. Don't make me have to think book. And then also if you can come up with a style for that site. Okay.
Are we allowed to do, like, I was thinking about doing a portfolio for mine. Could I do that, like a portfolio website?
Yeah, you can do a portfolio. The thing is, you're going to have to do that for your capstone course, or you're going to have to really change it, or not change it. You'll have to update it, but you can start with a portfolio, yes, and build how you want it. And then in your capstone course, you will probably enhance it. Okay.
Okay. I don't really understand what you're saying, but I'll just wait till
Well, yeah, we'll talk about it next time. A portfolio, if you can go ahead and start thinking about how you want it to look, well, all I'm saying is that portfolio, you'll also use, that's a requirement in the capstone course that you take the very last semester.
Oh, no. That's not what I was talking about. I meant, like, because I sell my artwork is what I'm saying. And I was going to build a portfolio of my physical artwork.
Right.
And then add, like,
yeah, you will use that again, is what I'm saying, when you do your capstone course. So yes, you can do that. You can come up with, do you already have like a name for your business, what you're calling it?
yeah, I call it something silly, but
Well,
I'll
and have you already come up with a logo for it, and like how you want to lay it out, your homepage? Because you can create the homepage and then the page where you sell it. So those are things that you can do. Okay.
Yeah, I have a logo and stuff like that. So yeah, I have stuff figured out.
Have all that. Okay. All right. So you guys have any other questions? We looked on there and we got 4 weeks, and then finals week, you'll get to work, put the finishing touches on your final project. And now, since we have to do online, we'll have a Zoom meeting where everybody can show their final project to each other, because it's been hard. I wanted y'all to be able to do that, especially the lecture class. So anyway.
Is it okay if I talk to you after privately?
11,
Oh.
Yeah. What do you have, Shy? What were you gonna say?
11 and 12. I just did the exercises. So is that okay if I just turn those in and then do test yourself?
Oh, on those two, because you already did it. Yeah, there's actually more work in the exercises. So yeah, just be sure that you can answer all those questions on the test yourself, because those are things that you'll need when you apply your project, okay? And that way I can tell if you understand the chapter.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so do you have any other questions, Shy? Because Lainey wants to talk to me after you sign out.
No, if I do, I'll email you.
Okay. All right. Thanks for coming in.
If I have one later.
Yeah. Okay.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. We'll see y'all next week. See you next week.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
I don't know if he's gone or not.
No. You still in here, Shy? Oh, here, I think I can remove him that way. Oh, if I remove him, oh, there he is. Okay, yeah.